Right now, I have a problem. And that problem is my tire is not supposed to be flat like that. So, today I'm going to be walking you through the typical steps that you would take to replace a popped tire or a tire tube that has deflated. So to give you guys a bit of backstory on this deflated tire, a few months ago I went riding and noticed that 10 minutes before I took off to take a ride, my back tire was fairly flat, and I had figured, oh, it's no big deal, it's probably just, it's been sitting around for a while, I'll just pump up the tire and go for a ride. Luckily, no issues happened while I was riding. Rode pretty hard, so luckily I didn't have a blowout or anything. Obviously I carried an extra tube with me just in case I did, and a small inflator. But now I could tell there must be a pinhole in the tube, and it's slowly leaking over time. So what I'm going to do is pull the back tire off and completely replace the tube that's inside, and I'm going to show you guys exactly what you need to do that. Alright, so the first step is, if you guys can't tell, obviously I went riding with this tire. It's pretty dirty. I don't want any of this dirt to make it into the actual tire itself. So I'm going to take my tire brush and just brush off any excessive dust and dirt and sand and stuff that's just sticking to there. If you can tell, I just got this on Amazon along with a kit, just a wash kit for my bike. And you can tell I'm brushing it away from the actual bike frame so it doesn't get stuck in my chain or anything like that. Alright, oops. It's tilting quite a bit. So, now I'm just going to undo the quick release. Mine just twists. DT Swiss, what's up? Just gonna twist this out until it's off. Then you grab your derailleur, push that backwards, pull that up. That can fall forward again, and then you just move this out of the way. Now your bike tire is free. So, obviously, to do this, I have a new replacement tube, I have some tire levers, and I have an air pump. I use a floor pump for this because there's going to be quite a bit of air being added. So I'm going to undo this, not that there's any air left, double check that the air is all out. This is a Schrader valve, or is this a Presta? No, I think this is a Presta valve. Sorry about that. Same process with the Schrader too. But take those two off, and then I'm going to take my tire lever, and there's a pretty simple process to taking off your tire. You take the tire lever, you press it in under the little bead right there, pull it outwards, and then you take that little hook on the end and you hook it around a spoke. Then you take a second one, go a little bit further down the line, get under that bead, see it's pressed up against the seal right now. Let me try on this side then. What I could do is actually undo this and do both of these at the same time. Hook this one around the spoke, and now you just work this all around. So if you can't tell, it's on there pretty tight, but what I'm doing is I'm prying and sliding. Now that this bead is starting to release, see how that just kind of pops off? Boom, now it just pops all the way around. So, I mean, there's a good reason that is as tight as it is, because you don't want this falling off while you're riding. So now that I have this whole edge free, I want to get this piece out with the actual valve out first, and then you just can kind of snake out the rest of the old tube. And especially that, since this is a mountain bike, you know, this is going to be going away. I'll test and see what's wrong with that tube later. A lot of the time it's cheaper just to replace the tube, but sometimes you could patch them if you're in a pinch, and that might be a better replacement. So if you can't tell, I'm kind of running my hand through here and checking all these spots, checking all along the inside. I'm just making sure there's no sand, there's no thorns or nails or anything, staples that could have popped that. And I'm not going to be putting a new tube into something that's going to pop pretty quickly. You know, I wouldn't want to go through all this effort of replacing the tube and then have to do it again soon. So one trick I learned is to, you know, take this and give it just a little bit of air. Not a lot, just enough to kind of give it some size. If you put too much air in it, since this doesn't have anything to, you know, trap its size and like slow down its size or contain its size, it's going to get bigger than the actual tire itself. So if you go to put this in, so I'm gonna tighten that up. If you go to put this in your tire and it's slightly bigger, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. Here's my valve hole. I'm going to lift this up. Make sure my valve is snugly in there. Let's start just inserting the tube into the tire. And I just want to make sure that it is not just sitting inside the tire, but that it's sitting inside the actual rim itself. So if you can't tell, actually this fit fairly nicely. So now I'm going to take the valve ring and just tighten that down, and this will bring the valve all the way out. So that the tube is sitting, you know, right where the valve is, the tube sitting snugly in the rim. This will push out when you inflate the tire, but just so you guys know, for now, it's going to be fairly tight to the rim. So now I'm going to take my thumbs and at the same time press it around the outside, and this will get me most of the way until I get up towards the top. And you see how this is kind of flopping over. I have this edge here. I'm just going to take and just kind of gorilla that back over, get that bead over. So now it's nice and seated. There's no issues. You know, it's not folded or anything. If it folds, you want to take that tire back out, or if it has a pinch in it, you want to make sure you take that tube back out and get that pinch. So now this is ready to be reinflated. I don't hear any air flowing, nothing like that. I like to stretch my tubes. So what I'll do is, and how you can find this, is if you go around, this is 35 to 65 PSI. 65 is going to be the maximum PSI that this can go in. And if you need to replace your tubes around this tire, this is a 26-inch tire by 2.35 inches wide, I believe. And then it gives you, again, here right next to Maxxis Igniter, it says 2.62 by 2.35, 65 PSI. So one thing that's important with the tire tubes is they're going to give you a range of sizes, because there's a range of size of tires. So if I have a obviously a 2.35 tire. I'm gonna buy tubes that work for 2.26 inches around, or 26 inches in diameter, I mean, by 2.3 to 2.4 inches in width. And that just fits that range. So this says 65 PSI. I'm gonna bring it up to 50. Oops, would help if oh. Giving an instructional, I didn't even open the valve. Here we go. Valve's open, press this on. I'm gonna bring it up to 50. And if you can tell on this pump, it gives you what works for mountain bikes, hybrid bikes, and road bikes. So I know at the middle of the hybrid, or at the middle of the mountain bike is 40 PSI. So I want to go to the higher end of that. All right, so here we're at 40. I'm gonna undo this and I'm gonna feel around the tire. Feels nice and firm. Then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna flip it over and I'm gonna check. I had this happen with my mountain bike where there was a pinch and a bulge would happen here and it'd push out from the tire and it essentially compromised the entire new tube. And if you could tell, this was nice and tight to the frame or the rim earlier. Now I could tighten it down just a little bit more. Now that this is nice and firm. It feels good. I don't feel any issues. I don't feel any pinches or bulges. So what I'm gonna do, put it back down. This is currently at 40. The low end's at 35. I like to run my tires around 50, 45 to 50. Right now it's a little bit below 40, at 40. So I'm gonna cut the distance. There we go. It's about 48 PSI. And I think that should be good. I'm a heavier guy, so I tend to run my tires a little bit stiffer. But now, all I need to do, make sure that valve ring is nice and tight. Now pretty much all you have to do is put it back on your bike. So, lift this up, put the match up where the chain ring's gonna go, push the derailleur backwards, and drop your ring right on the chain. It's not gonna match up perfectly, that's okay. And then make sure that your brake is matching up correctly. Oops. Also, it helps if these are sitting where they need to sit. There we go. Tighten this up. And then just give your chain a once around. You're ready to ride. There we go. So, if you want to know how to switch a tube, there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you have any questions about switching out tubes or testing them, anything like that. Give me a like, subscribe. See you guys next time.